La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah.
Muhammadun Rasulullah, Muhammadun Rasulullah.
Human beings are made up of two things. One is their bodies, right? And one is the soul that exists within the bodies. Basically, the bodies are just the vehicles to carry the soul. Once the soul departs, then the human being doesn't exist anymore, right? If it's a Mr. X and he dies when the soul is taken away, then he becomes a dead body. Nobody calls him Mr. X after that. I mean, say, okay, let's bury the dead body, right? That's what happened. That's what people say to him. It's not Mr. X, because the human being actually the soul that was within that body made him that human being. But in any way, he's a mixture of two things. Every human being, its body and its soul, right? And body needs nourishment like to exist, and the soul needs nourishment to exist. And body, because we know it is created from dust, right? So all its nourishment comes from earth. Like, for example, the vegetation, the animals, they take their feed from earth as well, right? So all the nourishment for the body comes from earth. And the nourishment of the soul, because the soul has come from heavens, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the nourishment of the soul comes from the heavens as well, right? So what we need to do is that we need to create a balance between our body and our soul. If that balance is not there, then this imbalance creates a state within people that people call it by depression. So anybody who is in a state of depression, basically what's happening is that they have lost that balance between their body and their souls. They have nourished bodies too much, and their souls are deprived of the nourishment. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is the opposite of depression? Is tranquility, is the peace, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, what does He say? Ala bi zikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. That verily by remembering Allah do the heart's mind rest. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran. That means that by remembering Allah, you get the nourishment of the soul, and your soul gets the strength as well. And once it either gets to the level of bodies, right, or it gets elevated, then you get the tranquility of the heart, the peace of the heart. Otherwise, you get into the state of depression, right? So the nourishment of the body is from all the earthly things, like for example taking food, taking drink, having relations, looking at things that we shouldn't be looking at. So anything that our bodies get pleasure from, that's its nourishment, right? And the nourishment of the soul is the remembrance of Allah, reciting Quran, praying, giving in charity, basically all the virtuous acts, right? These are the nourishment of the soul. And this is exactly what happens in Ramadan. What do? We stay away from drinks, we stay away from food, we stay away from marital relations for some time, right? And what do? We do Qiyamul Layl, we do Taraweeh, right? We give out in charity. Many people take out their zakah in Ramadan, right? We read Quran, and we of course fast. So all of this is doing what? It's elevating the soul and reducing our food, our drink, and our other pleasures. What it's doing is depressing the body. So now the balance is coming, and once it surpasses the bodies, that's exactly لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. That's exactly that you gain taqwa. That's the elevation of soul and depressing the bodies. Right? So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. This Ramadan, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam, fasting has been made compulsory upon you. Why? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you get taqwa.